Guess what? I'm not going to read from it. What else is new? You know, if I was going to say something today, I want to take a moment to deliver what Russell would have told you. He's had to deal with a lot of separate issues. Some of them are connected, some of them not. But every challenge he's had to meet. Now, he's a high-tech kind of guy. He's got computer, he's got cameras. If you don't think he has a camera, talk to him afterwards. He'll take your picture and it'll go on his computer. He has cell phones. He is so well connected as to not be funny. When one goes down, the other one comes out. But the truth of the matter is, when he has nothing but his brain, his wit, and his courage, and just another person to talk to, he's not only eloquent, he's pushing. And if there was ever a mini-me, having said that, when Russell told me he wanted me to do this, and this was his idea, not mine, I gracefully tried to accept. I'm not real good at compliments, and if I fail to say thank you for all the many things you've done and said for me and written to me, I want to do that at this moment. But if I was going to paraphrase Cliff Notes, so to speak, what it is I have to say is two topics. Friends and the Promised Land. To my friends that have served on the board of directors with me for all these years, to the past presidents who are here, the leadership of MSTA, I want to say thank you. It's been like family. In fact, I'm going to change it from friends to family. I'm going to make this just different. It's going to be family, because that's what they've become. To those of you that I've had the chance to visit with, to talk to over the years, you've been family as well. I only have one style and one way to be, and so you just got me the way that I can. All right? Thank goodness I wore clothes. You did give me the baby version of it. But you taught me for who I am and what I am. And I only come in one color and one pattern. And hopefully it's a pattern where I listen as well as I spoke. Let me tell you about family in another sense. I have a staff that's become family. And sometimes being a boss means you have to be one step removed. But for my staff family, I want to say thank you. As you sit in the back, stand on the side, sit in a chair, take a snapshot. It's my family. And I don't often get to say it in that sense, because there has to be just that slight separation. But it doesn't mean I don't love you and I don't care for you, because I do. For my own family, they're here today. I've got my son, my daughter, my son-in-law, who's really more like a son. And I want to say for you guys, especially for my daughter and my son, there were some things we didn't get to do together because I was on this job. I tried to make as many things as I could. And I made a lot. But I've been there for you in the past, I will be there for you in the future. And I just want to say thank you for being my kids. My bride, who this January 1st will celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. I don't know what they plan to do with these two things at the end, but if you want them, we have them. I didn't think about it in advance. I've been admitting to this whole group. I didn't think about that in advance. Russell, you put me in the doghouse again. But I love you, and I want to say thank you. Because she really has been the person that made this happen. I wouldn't have taken this job if she wasn't willing to relocate away from family, friends, and everything else in Texas. For my Texas friends who came, they're family, and I want to say thank you to you guys. Part of me will always be a Texan, but I've got to be honest with you. I've made the transition to Missouri, and I've become a Missourian. And We're not going to relocate anyway. Florida can just stay in Florida. I don't know. Anybody wants to go to Florida, travel with you when they go down to play the Gators. Okay? Because that's not my thing. Now, having said that, this is the MSTA family. And if you can't figure out that this association is more than a governmental entity or a 501c6 nonprofit, get over it. It is family. It's been family. Hopefully it will continue to be family. How do you know it's family? Because you care. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Little wittyisms I've used over the years, but they're just truth in them. Same holds true for you and your fellow colleagues. I want to exhort, but I also want to do a little reflection. I'm not going to take long to do this. But during the last few open hearings, I talked about the promised land a little. I grew up as a TV movie buff. Because Mom and Dad lived in hotels and motels, and I lived with them. And we traveled from one hotel to another hotel as they played music. So I got to see a lot of movies. And I always liked it when the curtain would part at the big Majestic Theater in Dallas, because I lived there for 5 years at the Baker Hotel. Screens would part open, and an organ would come out of the floor. Somebody would be up there, and boy, they'd be playing. I knew all the tunes because I listened to Mom and Dad, and I knew all the tunes to were. So I'd sit there, and then I'd get my popcorn, my soda, and the movie would come on. And one of them that I really liked was one with Charlton Heston called Moses. You remember Moses? Here he is. And in reflection, I sometimes feel like I was Moses. Because the seas had to part for MSTA to be able to step forward and take that next step forward. And all along the way, my family of leaders made it happen. They did the things necessary to part those waters. So while we weren't fleeing Pharaoh, but we were probably fleeing the Department of Federal Education and DESE, and a few politicians that think they've got the answers and they don't know split peas from chili about what goes on in the classroom. We made progress. But Moses took him 40 years to cross the desert to get to the promised land. And if you know anything about geography, when you look at the Middle East, in that area where Moses wandered, it was only 100 miles straight shot to get there. But along the way, he taught. It was the journey that was the important part. Not the destination, but I want to talk about both. Because guys, the promised land is still out there before you. And that's the promised land is when we've got a program called Teachers as Change Agents. I'm going to make one more hard sell from the front. If you haven't signed up for it this summer, do so. Because the ones we've been waiting for, the experts we've been waiting for 30 years, 40 years, hasn't been some federal bureaucrat, hasn't been some former teacher who's gotten out of the classroom, who's gone to college, and hasn't been back in the classroom in 40 years. It's you. You're the change agents. Nobody's asking you yet. That's the sad part. As I've told you 101 times, when the car's got smoke coming from the engine and I go to the Ford dealership, I don't want the fat sales manager with his tie coming right about here coming out looking at my car. It's smoking under the hood. No, I'm kidding. And I don't want the owner coming out and saying in his three-piece suit, you know, you've got a problem. No kidding. Where's the auto mechanic? Because that's who I need. You've had answers. No one's been willing to listen. The promised land, if I could take a legislative thing that I didn't get to achieve that I really wanted, was a statewide minimum salary schedule. You deserve it. You've always deserved it. If I could have a magic wand, do my grandmother wish, it would be that you have a tenure system that actually has some teeth to it as far as being able to give you some real due process, because you don't have that. You've heard me say that. But that's probably over there in the promised land. Now, if you remember the movie with Charlton Heston, he's always been in these Ben-Hurs. I mean, this guy is everything that's ancient, he seems to be in. But as he's sitting there, he goes up on the mountain to have a conversation with God. And while he's on the mountaintop, he's up there for quite a while, multiple days, I think, close to 4. While he was up there, God talked to me. And that must have been a whale of experience. Because as I remember the movie, he went up a brunette. And he came down with gray hair. And he had a tablet in each arm, 5 commandments on the right, 5 commandments on the left. At least that's what it said. It could have been 6 and 4. Who knows? Well, up into my mountaintop, and it's been used. And I didn't come down with tablets, but I did come down with an iPad. With 10 apps. Now my staff laughs because I've got more tech toys than I know what to do with. But when all is said and done, I usually rely on this and something like this. And my boards never seem to be paying much attention by looking up at them because I'm always drawing maps. And that's how I pay attention and can hear. And in college, when I got to doodle, which usually got me sent to the office, which is usually, you know, the routine, take your wallet out, bend over the chair, which I did. It was because this is how I learned. In college, I never took a note because I was allowed to doodle whenever I felt like it. You've got students underneath you that need that individual attention that something like a map test is never going to measure. And you need to give the individual attention. And when somebody says you're not doing what you need to do to get prepared to take a test, so what? Last night I sat at the table and I was talking with a group of teachers. And I had a great time. I was just sharing what was going on in my life, and what I hope to do, and some things that have impacted me. When I was finished, I went to join my wife, and we were up in that area where they had Russell's reception. And one of the people at the table turned around and said, "Who was that?" Now listen to me. I don't say that to embarrass her, because that's the truth of the matter. You may think you're big stuff, but in the real world, you've got to repeat yourself how many times before a kid learns? See, there's knowledge all over the place. There's knowledge coming down off the internet. There's knowledge in a textbook. There's knowledge in things that we could lay out before them, but it's the wisdom of a teacher and the application thereof that makes the difference. In my final set of remarks to you, I would love to just be an exhorter to tell you to keep on keeping on. But you know what? You're going to have to do that because you're still in the classroom. My hat's off to you. My job is easy compared to yours. You got 30 different set of kids. If you've got a small or 25 or 22, whatever the class size that they decided to stuff in your class this year because the counselor didn't get it right as far as how many we're supposed to have. And oh, by the way, I changed this. We're missing about 15% of our professionals from 4 years ago. They're down that much in the state. Used to have 88,000 teachers. Now we're probably somewhere down in the 75,000 range. They're just gone because of tough economic times. And you're still going on. And my hat's off to you.